Hello friends, you are watching C programming tutorial classes brought to you by Pro Training. So friends, in this class we'll learn the very important topics: input and output functions and some example programs to perform them. So C provides various types of IO functions to perform input and output operations in the program. And these IO functions are contained in standard C library and they are built in. That means we don't need to write the programs or functions for input and output operations. Rather, we just call those functions by their names to access them. So let's see some very important input and output functions. First comes the printf function, which is formatted output function. We have already used this printf functions to print something out on the screen, right? We use this function to print some text on the screen and the content of the variables on the screen, right? So that is why it is called as formatted output functions, which means we can format the output that we are going to print on the screen. We can set the type of the data that is going to be printed on the screen. Next comes the scanf, which is formatted input function, which is used to take the input from the keyboard in the format we want. That may be integer, character, string, or whatever we want. Okay, so this is a formatted input function, which means that we can set the type of the data which we going to take from the keyboard or whatever the input or whatever the standard input device is. Next, the getchar function, which is used to get a single character from the keyboard. Next, the putchar function, which is used to print a single character on the output window or any standard output device. Okay, so when we talk about input and output functions, they refer to the input and output devices also. Input device may be the monitor or any files also. Output functions uses the standard output devices such as monitor or any text files. Okay, here the output device is not fixed. Okay, so the getchar function takes a single character from the keyboard and putchar function prints just a single character on the output screen. There is one more input function which is called as gets, which stands for get string. This is unformatted input function, which means we can't set the format of the input, but we can take a series of characters from the keyboard. And there is one more output function which is unformatted, that is puts, and we use this puts function to produce the output, to produce the string on any standard output device, which may be terminal, monitor, or file. The output medium may be anything. So these are the mostly used and most frequently used very important input and output functions, and all these functions are defined and contained in the stdio.h header file. So that is why it is very important to include this header file before we starting our actual code, right? So let us get into the compiler and perform these functions practically. So I'll start the program by including the standard header files. H. So well friends, in the last program, the last class, we have written the program to perform mathematical operations, right? Where we assigned some values to the variables and perform the addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So there we used only the printf function to print the result out. But in this program, I'm going to show you how to use the printf as well as the scanf function to perform the input and output operations. Using the scanf function, we are going to take the input in from the user itself. So let's go and try that out. So here I'll declare two variables, int a comma b, and one more variable for storing the sum of A and B. So let's have this function as well. So now I'm not going to assign the values or initialize the variables to A and B as we did in the last class, but rather I will ask the user to input some values for A and B. Okay, so now I'll print a statement telling the user to input something for A and B. So for that I'll use this function which tells the user to input some values. So here I will give a meaningful message to the user to input something for A and B. So here I'll tell, hey user, please input or please enter 2 integers for A and B, right? So as soon as the user reads this message, he will enter 2 integer numbers from the keyboard. So he'll go and type the 2 integer numbers from the keyboard. So there should be one function to accept those 2 integers and store them in the variables, right? So for that I'm going to use the scanf function. So this is the format of the scanf function. Of course user inputs 2 integers, right? So which is going to be stored in A and B, right? So I have put A and B inside the scanf function. That is good, fine, but this is not enough. I have to specify the memory address of A and B, so the incoming integers will be stored in the specified memory. So to specify the memory of A and B, I will use these operators, which is called as address operators. So the ampersand operator before the variable specifies the memory address of that variable. So ampersand A specify the address of A, ampersand B specify the address of variable B. So whenever we input 2 variables, they will directly be stored in A and B. So scanf function, as I said, scanf function is formatted input function. We have to specify that incoming data is in the form of integers. For that I have to tell something like %d and %d as we did in the last program. So this will instruct the compiler that two data values are coming in, and convert them into the integer form, and put a comma after the type specifiers. So this is the standard format of scanf function when we are taking 2 integers. If we are taking 3 integers, then add one more %d and the variable name here. So like this you can input any number of data values, and to store them you must have the correct number of variables. So these %ds are called as type specifiers or type converters. Okay, so the number of %ds should match up with the number of variables here. And remember, in the scanf function you must have to specify or you must have to put the ampersand symbol before the variables. So this is the standard format. Just follow this standard format everywhere when you use the scanf function. Okay, so this function will accept so this has to accept 2 integers, right? So now this will accept 2 integers. Okay, so let us add them together, A plus B. Now let me print the content of sum. So now I'm going to print the sum is equal to %d comma sum. So let's run this program, control F9. So here it is asking me, hey user, please enter 2 integers for A and B. So it's asking me to enter 2 values, so which is good. So I'll enter 6 and 7. So the sum is equal to 13, which is correct. So I'll run this program again and I'll show you how to input numbers. So now type the first number that you want to be in A, that is 5. So now it's time to enter the second number. For that you can use the space bar and type the second number, so which will give you the sum of two numbers, or you can type the first number and press the enter button and key the second number. So there are two possibilities. You must have to separate the two numbers, right? For that you can use the spacebar key or the enter key. Okay, so this is how we use the scanf function to perform the input operation. So this is a standard scanf function. That means you can this is the formatted input function. That means you can set the format. Here we are setting the format, which is %d. %d sets the input value to integer, right? If you put %f here, okay, so this is %f, which means a and the incoming values for a and b are going to be in the floating point format, which is the numbers with the decimal point. So for that I had to change this integer to float. So because the type of a and b are the decimal, right? This numbers with decimal. So I must have to specify the float keyword here, and here also I must have to specify %f. Let's run this again. Hey user, please enter two, now not two integers, right? So I have to change the output message also to real numbers, right? Control F9. Hey user, please enter two real numbers. Okay, I'll enter 4.3, enter 4.4. So what should be the result? 8.7, right? So that's what we got. The sum is equal to 8.7. So this is how the scanf function works. So now let us look at the getchar and putchar function. So getchar function is used to take a single character, and putchar function is used to print a single character. So friends, just look at the statement. Here I have just declared a variable a of type char. So now let's see how to store a character in the variable a. So first type the variable a equals to getchar function. So this function getchar with an empty pair of brackets will take a character from the keyboard and stores it in the variable a. Okay, now let's go and print that. Okay, so to print that I will use the putchar function with the variable a in it. So this function, this putchar function, will print the content of the variable a, which is specified here. Okay, so I will put one more message here. Okay, so that is for you guys. So without this message also the function will work. The input character is, so I'll leave this as empty. So let's run this function. So add one more function call clr here. Okay, so control F9. So now enter any character. So let's say I'll enter Y. So the input character is Y. So now the control is in the place of getchar function. Now it is waiting for us to input a character. For this now I will input character A. So the input character is A. So this is how it works. When the control is in this place, it waits for the user to input something, to input some character, and when the control comes here, so it will print the actual character stored in the variable A. So this is how getchar and putchar function work, right? So now let's see how to use gets and puts function. So gets function is used to take a string in, that means a group of characters, and puts function is used to print the string. So friends, here I want to accept, here I want to take a group of characters, right? So just the char a will not work here, right? Because a single variable can hold a single character. So I have to take a group of characters. To accept a set of characters, I need to specify the size here. So this is how we specify the size of the input string. So a followed by the size of the variable. So this means a can have 5 characters in it. So remember, you have to specify the size of the variable a with this square brackets. So that means a can store 5 characters in it. So to take the input in from the keyboard, we must use the gets function. So gets function works a little different here. So type the function name, which is gets here, and in the brackets type the variable name. So gets of a. So remember, put that variable in which you're going to store the string. Here a. So now go and put that a. So this is also very simple. Puts followed by the variable name inside the parenthesis. So this is just simple. So this is very simple. Now let's go and run this function. So let me add the clear screen function as well. Control F9. Type A, B, C, D, E. So that is what I got back. So to make the output little more proper, I will use one printf statement here which says the input string is Control F9. So the input string is India. So as soon as the function call, as soon as the control comes here, it waits for the user to input some characters. When the control comes here, it will print the content of variable a. So let me save this file. So I'm using the same directory to save the file. So here I will call this file as iofunctions.c. Well friends, that's it for the class. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our page on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and join our group on LinkedIn. Thank you.